Dun, 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 dun. So great to see you.
We're gonna plan for next week.
Yeah, let's God willing. Let's make a good plan.
Do you want a light on? You need
Yeah.
like
I think I'll do this.
where's your? Have like a dimmer action?
Yeah, this one. Yeah, I think
All the way up?
full blast. Yeah.
Full blast?
I don't know.
You have like side lights also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure
You need
Judy-
the light.
Shalom.
Okay. Look to yourself. Look your.
Yeah, I see me. I'm very fun. Thank you so much.
See you.
Let me add the live stream YouTube. It is actually. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, whenever you're ready, I'm just setting this up. Once it's actually all rolling, hopefully Judy will come and also we can start with her as well. Hello. Hi, Judy. Okay, now how do I see my?
Hi. Wow.
Oh, there you are. Now I can see you. Can you hear me?
Nice. So nice. I'm happy to see you. Oh,
Yeah, it was
please.
an visual. I
Every-
did it.
You need a pillow?
Oh, that would be nice.
Here.
We have.
Well, I don't know if that's enough, but that's a start.
Okay. We have other pillows
Ruth, do you hear me?
as well.
I do. I just don't know how to change it from my daughter-in-law's name, Dina, to mine. But other
Oh,
than that, we're good. It's me.
Great.
It's so nice to
Amazing.
see you and hear you.
Yeah, it's great to see you also. Baruch Hashem, I'm really happy to see you. I'll just I don't know if you have near you a pen and paper, but at some point along the way, we'll need a pen and paper. So I'll just give you that as a heads up.
All right, let me go look.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
great.
I got the coffee. It's early here.
That's it. Yeah, I know. I'm impressed. You're
Me
on
too.
it.
Okay. Hold on, I have to go get paper.
Okay, I'm waiting for you. Well, Ruth is here. Ruth Feldman's on.
Oh, wonderful. So let me tell her that I have.
Oh, yeah,
the
you
book.
should tell her that you got the book. One sec. She went to get a pen and paper. I told her
Okay.
she's coming.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That you're still here?
No, she left. She just came to say hi.
Oh, yeah.
She's not actually staying for the class.
Yeah.
Couldn't convince her.
Oh,
There she is. Mhm. Do you know that her son got married?
No.
That she should have got married. You didn't know?
No.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Hard
Wow.
to keep up with life.
Mamish.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, amazing. Perfect.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, good morning, Judy.
Good morning to you. I just
Actually,
want to-
yes, very, very early morning.
I just want to tell you that I got a present last night because Sheva Chaya brought your book, the
Oh.
Green Bubby.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I spoke with Ilana the other day and she said, you know, I have a present for you. And actually we were talking on Sunday. I said, really? So guess what? Sheva Chaya is coming to my house tomorrow. Please send it with her. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm
We'll
I'm looking forward to seeing it
enjoy it.
and,
Well,
and reading it.
yesterday I sent the notice for your husband, Oliver Shalom, for the Zoom meeting. I sent it to Elise, who is Ann Herzig's daughter.
Yeah,
The Herzigs so I sent her the notice.
thank you so much.
And she was
Thank
so
you.
grateful. And I spoke to Ya'al Herman.
But thank you.
Good connection.
Enjoy the class. Let's go to
Thank you. Let's
let's,
go.
Okay.
let's go to school.
Yeah, so we're gonna start. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Thank God that we're all here. Baruch Hashem. So yeah, we should really make the most of this time. In general, we're in Elul, and also this little class that we're going to go through now, the process. I might say this every time. This is one of my favorite classes. I really enjoy this process every time that I do it. And I call this class Techelet, like the color of the string of the tzitzit. And you'll see why very obviously soon. So we're going to start off with a quote from Rav Kook. Rav Kook said, I think we can apply it beyond painting and sculpting. He said, painting and sculpting are able to bring, sorry, I can't read my handwriting. Oh, sorry. So painting and sculpting are able to bring to fruition all the spiritual concepts ingrained in the depths of the human spirit, right? So art, we have this, why do we do art? And people like art on the outside, it's beautiful, it adds the aesthetic of their life, it's inspiring, it's fun to do it, maybe all these different reasons. But what Rav Kook is bringing up in this quote is that really the effect of art, it's really a very essential thing that's happening when we do art, or maybe even are affected by art, is that there's something very, very deep inside of us that can come to fruition. It's not just that we even see it. It's like, so there's like a development of coming to like a shleimut type of a thing, that process, that part of a bigger process where fruits come through. So I think this is very significant. And this is why we're here. This is why we're involved in these kind of things. So the idea of both art and Torah, part of what I love about this program, this new Sheva program, is that it's bringing together art and Torah. So what do they have in common? So art and Torah, they're both bringing something from beyond the world into the world, right? And they both totally have that in common. And so we're going to see how this is connected to one of the main themes of this class, which I call Techelet, for a reason. We'll get to that very soon. I just want to also bring up in the beginning now a bit of the structure. So we have many levels that we function on, right? We have our mind, and we have our heart, and we have action. And the process of any type of learning that we do in our lives, we go through this process of understanding in our mind, bringing it through the processing of the heart, and then what are you going to do with it, right? So in this case, when we're actually working with the artwork, it can be specifically that, but it could be anything. It could be however you're going to bring it into the physical world. So the idea of this class, the little subtitle of Techelet is free your mind, and free your mind,
Okay.
and your imagination. So the first question is, and maybe all of us here who are together learning do believe this, but I think it's a basic question for people in general. Do you believe in it? Do you believe in imagination as a muscle that needs to be developed? That could be used for the good, that could actually do something in the world? Do we believe we could make a change? Do we believe we could actually make a shift in this world? So we're starting on the mind level, and we'll bring it through the other levels as well. So I learned something beautiful from Reb Shlomo Carlebach, the Rav of Tzfat. And this is the basis of the inspiration of this class. He said one day he was sharing a halacha yomid after tefillah. He gives a little Torah, and he said that about the mitzvah. He was speaking about the mitzvah of tzitzit, and he said when the mitzvah of tzitzit comes up in the Torah, it says there, as we know, you have the tzitzit, and it's connected to this techelet. It actually tzitzit is techelet, right? It says it in the pasuk. So I don't have the actual pasuk right in front of me. But everybody knows tzitzit is this mitzvah. The four-cornered garment has the strings, which are a specific number of strings that are tied and knotted, and the techelet is like the essence of these strings. So the Rashi in this place where the tzitzit comes up that the Rav was sharing, Rashi asks something very, very interesting. He says, so if the essence of techelet, if the essence of tzitzit is techelet, so what do we do when we don't have techelet? If the essence of tzitzit is that you look at the tzitzit, it has to do with vision and looking. So how do we do, this is such an essential mitzvah. How do we do the mitzvah when there's no techelet? So he says there that the doorbell's ringing, maybe? Someone's at the door.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Oh yeah, it's so I'll say again, so the techelet is the essence of the mitzvah of tzitzit. And Rashi says, so what do we do when we don't have the techelet? He says, you have to imagine it. So I heard this. Welcome. Shalom. Yeah, we're just starting. Come sit close enough so you can pass. Yeah. What's your name? Justine. Welcome. Shalom. So we're just gonna pull you in and backtrack, because I just started a couple of minutes ago, but we're talking about the mitzvah of techelet, and I'm learning this out in the name of Reb Shlomo Carlebach, that he said that we have the mitzvah of tzitzit, which one of the essential aspects of the mitzvah of tzitzit is techelet, the blue string, the special dye of blue, which at a certain point we didn't have it, right? So then Rashi asks, so what do you do when you don't have it? How do you do the mitzvah of tzitzit? So he says, when you don't have techelet, you have to imagine it. You have to use your imagination. So when I heard this, when Reb Shlomo was giving over this Torah, and he was saying, Rashi says you have to use your imagination, I like, wow, like this, I wrote it down. Like I don't write down everything I hear, but like I wrote this down, I thought this is a big deal. Rashi is telling us we need to use our imagination. Okay, this is a big deal. This is very solid source for how not only is it important to use our imagination, like we were saying in the beginning, maybe it brings beauty and joy, inspiration in people's lives. This is something much deeper. If we're talking about the mitzvah of tzitzit, we're talking about one of the most basic mitzvot that we have that is connected to all other mitzvot. And we need to be able to do it. And in order to do it, we need to be able to imagine it. And this brings us to another very essential aspect of our experience as spiritual people as well. We don't have the Beit HaMikdash. How are we ever going to get there? How are we ever going to really believe that our prayers are doing something, that they're real, or that they're going to where they need to go? We also need to use our imagination, right? We need to. It's a known fact that in order to pray, you have to use the imagination. You have to be able to imagine what you want, to be able to ask for it, right? And even like Rabbi Nachman, you have to be able to imagine it coming into being, it manifesting. Like if you want a beautiful sefer, whatever it might be, you imagine that sefer on your shelf, like you see it, like you use your imagination for it. So do you want to say something?
So it's it says to use your imagination for praying. And what's the source?
Rabbi Nachman says you have to use your imagination for praying, and he even says, Rabbi Nachman says of Breslov, that you should not only use your imagination, you should conjure up in your mind visually the thing, like you having it, like it's in your possession. Spending like meditative time and prayerful time to conjure up this thing that you want, whether it's finding your zivug or health or whatever it might be, a child, whatever it might be, you imagine it like for as much as you can. So all of these all of these examples are pointing to the fact that it's really important to use our imagination, not just to use it, but to develop it. It's a muscle. It's like, if you think of it as like a muscle, if you work on your muscles, they get stronger. You can use them more, right? If you build a skill, you can take it further. So this is just the underlying part of the idea that we really need to establish not only the power of imagination, but how important it is to not only work with it, but to develop it, to make it stronger. Okay, so yes. Okay, so let's take this a little bit further. The idea of techelet. So when it comes up in the Gemara in the Gemara where it says, I'll say in Hebrew first and I'll translate. It says techelet domeh leyam, yam domeh lerakia, rakia domeh lekisei hakavod, lekisei hakavod domeh le'even hasapir. So there's this kind of string of things that are attached to each other. One is like the next. Okay, so it's like kind of a mathematical equation. You start with one and it's like the next one all the way through. So they're all connected to each other. So the techelet, this color that we're starting with, is like the sea. Okay, and the sea is like this. So we'll take a little bit slower and we'll flesh it out and actually try to do this. It's easier to do this class looking at the sea, but we could imagine. We're going to use our imagination. So the techelet is like the sea. So if I can't see the techelet, I can look at the sea. Okay, it's like the techelet. I've been looking at it, I'm imagining it, and the sea is like the sky. So I can look at the sea, and then I look at the sky, and I see the blue of the sea, and I see the blue of the sky. These are things that I can actually see and take in and process seeing. And the sky is like the kisei kavod, is like the supernal throne. I can't see the supernal throne. I don't know what it looks like, but I know it looks like the sky, and I can look at the sky. So this is starting to get interesting. This idea of not only do we need to imagine techelet, but we have attached to techelet a line that comes from the Gemara that gives us things to help us work on our imagination, like actually work this muscle. So we can do it now to spread it out a little bit more. So we have techelet domeh leyam. So we have we don't have actual, no one has techelet here. None of us have tzitzit anyway, but we have to imagine it, Rashi says. And then we could imagine that it's like the sea. And we could imagine a beautiful blue sea, okay? And then we start to think about it a little bit deeper. How is that sea like the sky? The blue, how is the blue of the sea like the blue of the sky? So if you think about it, maybe it looks like this color and that color, this blue and that blue, but if you start to really think about it, if you take a cup and take out a cup of the water from the sea and pour it out, does it look blue? No. It's clear, right? Water is clear. Water is not actually blue. Why does water look blue? Exactly, from the sky. It's reflecting the sky. So this is getting really interesting, right? So the sky. So let's go back. So techelet, which we don't know what it looks like, so we have to imagine it, is like the sea, which I can see. So now I can imagine it, which is, and I start to look a little deeper, and I think actually, I can't imagine blue from the sea because it's clear, but it does look blue because of the sky. So it's like pulling me upwards, right? It's like pulling my imagination. I'm going from one step to the next in my mind, in my experience of using the power of imagination to understand this thing. And not only is it not some simple, straightforward thing like blue, it's very interesting because the thing that I'm trying to imagine, the first step that it says to take in this chain of things to look at, the first thing I think is that it's blue, and then I think a little deeper, and it's not even blue; it's reflecting another blue, and that helps me actually to understand. Because how do I make the jump from the rakia to the kisei kavod? I don't know what the kisei kavod looks like. But that helps me understanding that the water is not actually blue, it's reflecting the blue of the sky. So that can help me understand that the sky is reflecting the blue of the kisei kavod. And there's the one even beyond that, the kisei kavod is reflecting the even hasapir. What does that mean? I don't know, but I get like goosebumps when I think that it's like, it's not the air conditioning, it's like an amazing thing to start to kind of ignite or jumpstart our imagination, not just stam in any way, but with a holy anchor, with a source that's it's as anchored as you can be. We have Rashi and the Gemara, so we don't need to worry at all that we're getting off track. So this is our starting point, okay? And this is something that I want everyone to take as a meditation. And we're going to take a moment to actually do this. I'll say it out first, and then we're going to actually do it. We'll take a moment to actually go through this process a few times and see what comes down for people. So we're going to imagine this blue tchelet that we don't know what it looks like exactly, which looks like the sea. We can imagine the sea, which is blue, yet reflecting the blue of the sky, which is reflecting the blue of the tchelet, which is the kisei kavod, which is the even asapir. So there's actually a beautiful song. I'm going to take a moment to take a nice deep breath and let out all of the air. And we're going to take a moment to close our eyes, and we're going to visualize each thing. We're going to take a moment to actually do this. And I not only want to do it now, but I want us to all take it with us and try to do it more even when we're not together, because that's the important thing, is really actually integrating these things into our lives. Okay, so we'll take a deep breath and we'll let out the breath. And we know with kind of coming into mindfulness and consciousness, the breath is really, really important. Start off by letting out all of the air and then taking in a nice breath through your nose. And then the breath that you let out should be longer than the breath that you let in. So you can let it slow. Sometimes people like to think of it as like they're blowing through a straw when they're letting the air out, so that you can kind of slow it down. It's not like one big out, but it's a slow out, and try to let it all out. And once you think it's all out, try to let out a little bit more. Try to let it go really, really, really all the way out. Okay, and take another in breath and out breath. And there's a beautiful song that goes with this line that I'm gonna sing. And everyone, if you know the song, you're welcome to join in, and we'll try to go inside and really follow with our mind's eye, with our inner eye, this process of following the stages of imagination. Okay. Tchelet dome layam, yam dome lerakia, rakia hu dome לכיסא הכבוד, תכלת דומה לים, ים דומה לרקיע, רקיע הוא דומה, לכיסא הכבוד, לכיסא הכבוד. דומה לאבן הספיר, כיסא הכבוד, אבן הספיר, תכלת דומה לים, ים דומה לרקיע, רקיע הוא דומה, כיסא הכבוד, כיסא הכבוד, דומה לאבן הספיר, וכיסא הכבוד, אבן הספיר. You take a moment to take it in, and if anything's coming to you, you have a pen and paper nearby, you can write down if anything's coming to you, insights, something that you might want to remember. Okay. So when you're ready, we're gonna come back together here. Anyone want to share anything that came up for them? If so, happy to hear. So the song Shivi Keller. Yeah, beautiful song, beautiful, beautiful song. I encourage next time any of us are by the sea, definitely sing the song and go through it. Going through this process, I mean, we can do it without singing, but when you see it, you have this input of the, you know, the reality in front of you, so it just deepens the experience even more. So I try to do it anytime I go by water, even because there's always sky near water. That's a given, and it's a really good way to work with it. So I want to take this idea a little bit further that the Reb Shlomo brought up, that Rashi says that we should imagine the Tiferet if we can't see it. So this idea of using our imagination. So the Rav came around and said, so what is this really about, that we need to use our imagination? What are we really learning? So he said, and I wrote this down like as a quote, like I think I really wrote down like what he said word for word. He said, we need to change. Why would we need this power? Like, what is it really for? So he said, what we really need is we need to change from feeling or thinking that Hashem hates us to changing to that Hashem loves us. So I'll say that again. So why do we need to use this power of imagination? It's okay, you know, beauty and inspiration and decoration and skill and all that kind of stuff. No, what it's really about, said Reb Shlomo, is that really we have an inner conception, something that we've decided that we believe is true, that is limiting us from knowing how much Hashem loves us. And we actually think that Hashem doesn't love us. And there might be different reasons. Everyone has the reasons, but we're in Elul now. We're in a time where we're basically, it's a time we're supposed to really face ourselves. Hashem, the king is in the field, and we want to come close. We want to do tshuva and slichot and actually say, okay, kind of reflect back on the year. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What can I fix in this ever so powerful month to really like make things good? So sometimes when we start to think about when we did things wrong, like saying, you know, this went wrong and I wanted it to be like that, it didn't turn out right at all, right? So things happen all the time. So a lot of times we can spiral and not just really like take it for what it is, but take it personally even, like, oh, you know, I'm not liked and I'm ashamed and Hashem doesn't love me and why, like, how am I ever going to get, like, really, this is like a very human, normal way of being. So for every person in their own way, whatever place this is, you know, life has brought us the challenges that we've been presented with. In any case, whatever it is, the bottom line is from what Reb Shmuel said, is that this power that we have, like we just touched on it a little bit, to really use our mind to start shifting and actually understand, what is this creative mind doing? It's shifting our understanding of what we see and understand outside and inside, right? The inner world is one thing, the outer world is another. When I look outside, this is part of what I find, you know, very exciting about artwork and putting artwork out into the world, is that when people see a piece of art, they see all kinds of different things. There's all kinds of different reactions. I'm sure you get this, Ruth, a lot, that you know, people have these incredibly different, you know, things that are brought to me about this piece of art that I made that I never would have thought of on my own. How could that be? Because every single person has their reflection. They see something in the outside world. Their inner world has its reaction and they share it. And the next thing you know, you have like a whole world of understanding that's being shared and with everyone. Anyone can tap into it as long as you're starting to share. So taking it to this deeper level of inner work, of realizing actually that we're loved, right? So this is the theme of this class also. This tchelet is the source going, you know, deep back into tchelet, is that, and Rabbi Nachman talked about this a lot, and also it comes up in all the sources. Tchelet is used, it helps, you're supposed to look at it, right? You're supposed to look at it to remind yourself and help yourself from not going off, right? So if someone has an extraneous type of a thought, a negative thought, or a distracting, say someone's learning Torah, a man is learning Torah and he sees someone walking by and she catches his eye. Oh, he's not supposed to follow her. He looks at his tzitzit, his tchelet, brings him back, right? It's like a guard for his eyes and it brings him back to center. So for all of us, we can relate in this way that the tchelet and the tzitzit, this starting point that we started with this meditation, it's a reminder for us. It's a guard for us to return to ourselves, to be where we really should be. And in this point that Reb Shmuel brought up, to remind ourselves we're so beloved of Hashem. Hashem is just waiting for us to return. It's not like, oy vey, like I realized how bad I did this year and how am I ever gonna pull myself out of this? No, it's like Hashem is so pleased with our every effort to recognize who we are, that we want to grow. And this little jogging of our imagination of realizing we can shift how we look at ourselves and how we look at something outside can reflect also how we look at ourselves, right? We can learn from that we can adjust how we react to ourselves and how we look at ourselves. Very, very, very important information. Okay, so I want to go now to share a little bit more about tzitzit, and then we're going to do a little bit of writing. So I have, yes.
Generally, now people are not wearing tchelet with their tzitzis. So first they have to imagine their tzitzis being tchelet.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, to me, when I heard this Torah, when I heard this Rashi, so we're talking about a Rashi on tzitzit, on tchelet. It says, Rashi says, how can you look at tchelet and see tchelet when we don't have tchelet? He says you have to imagine it. So this is the starting point of this whole thing, and not only that, this is one of the most basic mitzvahs, like tzitzit is one of the most basic mitzvot, even though women don't wear tzitzit in general. The idea behind it, what it's about, what we were talking about before, that it helps bring us back and have us look towards something that's going to connect us. And like we said in the beginning, both art and Torah are bringing something that's beyond this world into this world. So these teachings that we're getting are actually, we're in this world, and it's helping us get out of this world, go beyond this world, which is also what we need to do, right? We need to go beyond. So we're going to move towards the heart. So we started with the mind, right? From the mind to the heart to the action. So we're going to move towards the heart. We're going now to the Likutei Halachot on tzitzit. So Reb Nassim of Breslov, his teachings on tzitzit. This is Halacha Hey of Likutei Halachot, and it's very, very beautiful. And I think it'll also deepen our understanding on what we're talking about and make the connection to our activity that we're coming towards. So I'm going to read it in Hebrew and translate. Ze b'chinat tzitzit. Tzitzit hu b'chinat achut shel chesed shnikla v'nishzar min ha'ayin bet nimim she'aleihem yitnagen ashir shel chesed sheyater le'ativ. So this is the idea of tzitzit. Tzitzit is the aspect of the chut shel chesed, this string of kindness. It's like the connector string. Like you can imagine like there's a string holding the crown of your head up to the sky. So the chut of chesed, of kindness, which is wrapped and tied from the 72 strings, which these 72 strings, which he'll get to how he counts those up, which is something we don't need to focus on too much, but it comes down to where we can count them up as 72 of the tzitzit. But these 72 strings are connected to the 72 strings of the harp, which will be played, this song of kindness, which will be played in the future. Yeah, so it's very deep and high stuff quickly. Okay, we're with Rabbi Nachman, Reb Nassim now. We're going like straight to the high place. Okay, we don't need to worry about it. We're going to go through it. Did you want to ask something?
Sheva, Chaya, did you say 72 strings of the heart or the harp?
The harp, the
right,
instrument.
got it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Yes, the strings.
I just want to interject that it's interesting that we're talking about tzitzis and tchelet because, because of my husband's yard site tonight, and his favorite mitzvah was tzitzis.
Wow.
And that's why I
Wow.
don't know if you've ever seen his cover that the tzitzis on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's so special. So the cover Reb Shalom ben Yekutiel Yosef Zusha, Zichron Levracha. He should have a lot of nachas from this learning, sitting, at his table, and especially for the tzitzit. And that's so special.
Yeah.
Thanks for interjecting that very important piece of information. And I'm sure he's singing this song. He's singing and hearing this song already. I'm sure of it. Okay. Shezeu akol hamishkei tagan. This sound of the harp that is playing on the 72 strings is the voice which waters the garden. Shesham gedelim kol hayirot v'kol harechot. In this place grows all of the awesomeness, like the fears, and awesome type of fears, and all of the smells. יכול המוכיח להוכיח את ישראל ולא יקלקל בתוך החטוא, אדרבה ייתן ויוסיף ריח טוב ונשמתם על ידי תוכחתו בכל הזה. So by this voice which waters this garden, okay, it's a bit mysterious what he's saying with the voice, but it says with this voice specifically, the Israel, we can be tochacha, we can take, hearing how we need to improve ourselves, right? Hearing rebuke, but it's something that's a very touchy subject to say, like we shouldn't do rebuke because why? Because people only hear the negative side of it. But what it's saying here is the opposite. It's saying that this beautiful sound of this harp is connected to this voice, which is able to tell us what we've done wrong. And it won't lekalkel. It doesn't destroy with it. This voice doesn't destroy at all. On opposite, adarabba, it adds and it gives a beautiful smell to the souls by this voice. When the souls hear what they need to do to improve, it brings out a beautiful smell. It doesn't bring out the bad smell. שזה בחינה לתוכחה של משה, שהוכין את על מעשה העגל. So this is also connected, right? Because we're in Elul now, and it's the time when Moshe Rabbeinu went up and did the tikkun of the Chet HaEgel and the Meraglim. So the tochacha that Moshe Rabbeinu brought down in that time, it didn't destroy us, right? It lifted us up. It brought out our good. It by telling them what they needed to work on and what wasn't right, it added to them, and it brought out this beautiful smell. It says in Shir Shirim, Nirdi Natan Recho, Azav lo ne'amar, ela Natan. It says that the spice gave its smell. It let out its fragrance. As opposed to taking away the fragrance, it brought it. It brought it out. It's a positive thing. Ein sham kol etev, umichutz shel chesed hazeh nimshach or chutei tzitzit. So now we're connecting into tzitzit. So we remembering now this is about the tzitzit. So this chut of chesed, it brings the light of the strings of the holy tzitzit. Ki chutei tzitzit bichlalam olim ein bet. So how do we get to the 72 of the tzitzit? This is it's the strings of the harp, which is connected to the sound of the harp, which is the song of the future, which is this voice which brings out in us our goodness, the beautiful aspects of tshuva, of returning, of coming around. It's ayin bet, it's 72. So it adds up like this. I mean, it's math. We don't really need to get so deep into it, but they're kihem lamed bet chutim shekol chut kaful mishnayim ki tzachim liot zorim u'shnei pamim lamed bet hu samech dalet. So there's 32 strings of the tzitzit, but they're folded over, so it's double. So 32 doubled is 64. Shenikla v'nishar, samech dalet, ve'hashmona chutim ba'atzmam samechet ola ayin bet. Batzman Samech Hey, sorry. So you add to this 64 another 8, because there's 8 total, right? It's 4 sides, but each one's double. So
Where does the 8 come from?
the 8 comes from the strings, the actual tzitzit. So there's 4 corners, but each one's double, so it's 8. So, okay, without having to dig too deep into that, I trust Reb Nassan if he's bringing gematrias like this, it is what it is. It's 72 strings, which are these 72 strings of the harp. Shiniklav, nishar, okay, which is like the 72 strings. She'alehem yitnagen hashir shel chesed shel atid. So this song of chesed, of kindness of the future, is played upon these strings, which is bringing us back to the Techelet, which is bringing us back to our lesson for today, which is about actually not using in a bad way, but using this idea of Techelet to jumpstart and give our imaginations a boost of confidence to use it, right? To develop it, to go with it. So, someone like Ruth, you used your imagination incredibly. You're painting, this is something you're familiar with, but I think you'll probably agree with me. Tell me if I'm wrong. I definitely feel this way. The more I keep, you keep, I don't know if it's a great example, you keep like a car running well, right? You use it. Like if you leave a car sitting for a month and then you try to start it, good luck.
Yeah.
But if you, it happens. Okay, so it happens. So as we know, but it also with our imagination. So when you work it, right? So you say, okay, like I'm inspired by the wheat fields for the Omer, like your beautiful painting that I saw yesterday. So I look and I get myself into it and I'm doing it. So that day that I'm making that painting, my imaginative faculties are in action. Not only that, but I'm pushing them because I'm doing something new. It's every time you make something, it's something new, which is beautiful. It's something to keep in mind how awesome that is. So by doing that, the next day and the next week even, and maybe even the next who knows how long, like on and on, I'm clear. I'm running. My imagination is active. It's alive, and it's not just running. It's building. It's growing. Right? So I see you're shaking your head. You do it. I mean, I mamish think it's, people think, oh, I think this, I think it about you also. Like, wow, you make so much art. Like, how do you do that? Like, how you're so productive, But I think most artists who are very productive, they only want to be even more productive. Like the experience of doing it is what makes you even want to do it more, right? Like this idea of like, we touched a tiny bit on like opening our minds to imagining Tchelet, the sea, the clear, the sky, the blue, the kisei kavod. Wow, I can actually get like a little hint of kisei kavod. I never even thought of that before in my whole life. Like it opened a tiny bit. So I want to go further. Like I want to do that again. I want to do that regularly. I want to teach this class as many times as I can, because I know that every time I can maybe get a little bit closer to actually imagining that place and being present. And the presence of making artwork is one of the most wonderful things about it, right? So
Listening to the news.
better than listening to the news, by far. Lahavdil. Totally different. Okay, so I threw out a lot of information right now and ideas, and we did even a little bit of active imagining. And so what I want to do now, I want to do a couple. We're going towards the heart now, right? We started bringing towards like the idea of actually being told, okay, you could be better here, you could be better there, and the idea of it possibly actually happening in such a way that it's beautiful. It brings out. When someone tells me with their beautiful voice, with this idea, this bechina of the strings of the harp of this beautiful song, what I did wrong, it's going to bring out my good. If I could imagine such a reality, and that we could say we could even all be doing that for each other. Wow, like what a beautiful world. So tachlis, reality, what the world is like, is not so easy to find. Not everyone is Moshe Rabbeinu or David HaMelech, and it's not so simple. But we do need to get there, it seems. That seems to be something that we need to do. We need to get to that place. So we're moving towards working with our hearts. So what I want us to do, we're going to do two little exercises right now. The first one's another little writing exercise. We're going to take 2 to 3 minutes, and I want everyone to just write. You can either write or sketch. You can do it whatever makes sense for you. Any associations you have with art, what you've done, what you wished you could do, how it felt. And then taking it beyond that, what you would like to do. Okay, it's clear? We'll write for a minute or two. say I did, I don't know, 10 paintings on the color blue, and I wished I had done them on the color green. What, you know, like you think of what you've done and your associations in the past with art, right? Amazing things that you've done, or things that maybe made you feel, I wish they were amazing, but they weren't, whatever it might be.
You haven't done and you want to.
What you haven't done and when you want to. That's the way to take it next. Okay, so we'll take a couple of minutes to start with that, and then we'll come back. I'm gonna look at the time. Okay, maybe finish up your thought another like half a minute. Okay, so great. So in doing this very short little writing exercise, maybe something was kicked off that I feel like I wish I had, and it's something that I hadn't done, or I tried to make this something and it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. Maybe everything came out for you positive, but usually there's things that we wish they were better. So bringing this towards the heart, I want to actually do like a little tapping exercise. So I don't know if you guys are all familiar with tapping with EFT, but you can just follow me through it. And the basic way that it works with tapping, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Therapy, I believe. So it's a process that basically it's tapping on the meridian points of the body that help us release negative feelings and be open to positive feelings. So it actually can help us really shift. And that's what we need to do to get free in our creativity also, and in general in our lives. So there are points. We'll do the simple version. There's more options, but you start by saying the thing that you wish was better, and you can say it to yourself. You can say it quietly. And say, like, I'll say, for example, I wish I could put together a much more complicated glass sculpture than I've been able to. For example, whatever, a thing like they always fall apart, whatever it might, something where it's like, I wish it was something better than it was. You start by saying that, even though I always break this type of thing, or it never turns out like I want, even though, so you start tapping on the inside of your eyebrow. And then, even though I wish I could have done this beautiful sculpture, and then on the outside of your eyebrow, and then under your eye, there's a little indentation just under your eye, just a light little tap. Even though I wish, you can fill in the blank, whatever works for you. And then under your nose, this little indentation right under your nose, and then right under your lip, in between the lip and the bottom of the chin. Even though it is what it is, I know that you love me, Hashem. And you tap here, in your chest, you tap under your arm, and on the top of your head. And then you go through the cycle again. So we'll do it a couple of times a cycle. Even though, and really say the word, you can say it quietly under your breath to yourself, but really say the words, it'll make a different effect. And even though I wish it was so much better. Okay, both sides of the eye, under the nose. Even though that's the case, I know you love me, Hashem, you believe in me. Under your arm. Even though every time I try to express myself, it doesn't come out exactly right. And that's so frustrating, Hashem. It's so incredibly frustrating. I know that you can grant me the ability to really express myself. Okay, do another round. Okay, and if you're into it, I don't want to stop you and keep going, but I'm going to share a little bit more. I want to bring this now to our times now that we're in. We're in an 8 ratzon of Elul, and even though it's passing quickly, we still have a lot of Elul to go. We're in the beginning still. We're in the first half of it still. And one of the big aspects of Elul is the 13 attributes of mercy, the midot of social midot rachamim, and the 13 attributes of mercy. So we say in Slichot, Shem Hashem, Kel Rachum B'Chanun, Erech Apayim Rav Chesed Be'emet, Noter Chesed Be'alafim, Nosi Avon Pesha V'Chatzav V'Nakeh. There's different ways of counting the 13, Lo Mishaneh. Those 13 aspects came down, as we know, when we had the falling at the Chet Ega. Hashem said, forget it, those people aren't worth it. Moshe said, I'm fighting for them, Hashem, stay with them, don't give up on them. And then these words were revealed for not only for them, but forever. And that they're the headwaters, so it's mamash from that point forever. That we have these words are gateways and openings for us to connect with Hashem, no matter how far we've fallen. And it said, there's beautiful things that are said. It says that Rav Yehuda said in the Talmud, a covenant was established regarding the 13 attributes of mercy, that they will never be returned empty-handed. Never be returned empty-handed, right? And we're in a time, so say we get to it once a week, every day of the week, ideally, a lot. Say we even go to Slichot concert and people are singing it and we're getting into it a bit more. However much we're doing it, the people around us are doing it also. We're stirring up and awakening this rachamim, where we're asking Hashem, even though whatever it is, I know you love me, right? And it will never return empty-handed. So the number 13 is a number of infinity. We have 12 months in the year. This is like a bound structure. Always one past the very bound structure is infinity. So 13 is infinity, not only in that sense, but also in the sense of the gematria of echad is 13, 1, right, is 13. So we're basically binding ourselves to this way of totally opening up Hashem's opening up to us, for us to become who we really are, for us to allow ourselves, to free our imagination, to allow ourselves, even though the world might say most of the times, oh, you're wasting, oh, you're playing, you do art, or you just don't know what to do with your time. So you do that kind of light stuff, or whatever it might be. For each person has their thing. The truth is the truth. If the underlying element of using creativity, and especially using creativity for holiness, this is allowing us to get to the geula. Actually,
what is using creativity? What is
for kedusha? I mean, if you're saying it like that, then I would, if you're using creativity for kedusha, maybe it would be, say, taking a pasuk or a letter, taking something holy and working with it. I would say that could be, or taking your creativity and making something for a holiday or for Shabbat. You're connecting to something in Kedusha. That's one way to do it. But what I was trying to say was actually even something else, is that binding my creativity to Kedusha, like that it's coming from Kedusha, like that the idea that we're talking about here is that my mind and my inner eye and my outer eyes, my interaction with the world and my understanding of beauty and the world and even of color and how I understand these things is bound to a holy concept, that I'm running it, like the engine it's not just like free for all. It's starting with a Rashi in Chumash, which is bringing up a line from the Gemara. This is pure holiness. And if I start from there, so let's see what comes out. Let's see like what we create, right? And we in our essence, this is this whole idea which Shmuel brought up. We in our essence are so beloved to Hashem. We are his children. We're his creation. And he just wants to see us really be ourselves. He just really wants us, our real selves. And our tendency is to kind of lock ourselves up in thinking like he doesn't even want me, right? I'm not good enough, or it's not me. She's better than me. She's good at that. No, we have these ways of just blocking ourselves. Or even with someone who's a very flowing artist, like I was good at it then. Now I lost my touch. I don't have any energy for this anymore, right? I don't do it anymore. We just tell ourselves these things and then we're just blocked, but we're still here. Like here we are. So this is now. Like those of us that were in the first class, maybe it was all of us. We focused in the last class a lot on this line, Hashem mechadesh b'kol yom tamid maseh breshit. The workings of creation are constantly being renewed, always, now and always. They always have been and they always will be. So in whatever moment I'm in, right now, always, it's new. And I can step into that. I have to believe it and believe that that's okay. I think it's one of the biggest challenges with being creative is just doing it. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's not to actually just do it. I saw like you have your paints nearby and your paintings around you, Ruth. So like for myself also, like I know for myself, if I'm going to actually succeed in being creative, even a little bit, even like half the amount I wish I could, so I better have a setup that I can step into and be creative in it. I don't need to figure it out. I don't need to, see, she has her paints here. I saw that when you turned the camera. Yeah. She has her paints set up.
All over.
Yeah, and why? Because if I start, okay, I have to go to graphos and I don't have the paper and I need to sharpen all the pencils. The next thing you know, an hour went by, you're exhausted. You don't want to do anything anymore and you didn't do anything. So what the first step is to set up, let's get like really practical now that we've been like, flying in all kinds of grounds. On a practical level, so there's little notes we wrote to ourselves. It's important. So maybe we'll get a little awakening there. Like, what's my next step? How am I going to kind of use this little awakening that I felt here for something good?
One question.
Yeah.
You were saying about this is how like it's bringing the geula, like what is this? Like it's the tzitzit. What we were saying, and I really wanted because you were saying about that's the way to bring geula, like just like being creative with the things we have to do and like in the present. Mm-hmm. And actually this is what we were like the past class the Rab was saying about that all the time Hashem makes the world in this moment, and that's how we can make teshuvah, like also like for having knowing that in this present is the only thing that we have.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think what I was trying to say when I was saying that it's bring the geula is that it's any one of us, we have a piece of Hashem in us. We have a piece of God in us. The question is how much we need to find it and get it out, right? So creativity, what I'm bringing up with this, and I find it in my own life a lot, allowing myself to start thinking this way, like we were doing with this idea of imagining the Techelet in these different ways. Suddenly my mind starts to open. Like I start to think about it in a new way. Like I never really thought before how the sea is so much like the sky, but it's actually clear and then it's blue and that could reflect something even higher. Suddenly my mind is kind of clearing and opening to a new way of thinking. And that's already creativity. That's already because we're imagining it, right? And it's creativity with holiness. It's taking holy material, the words, the idea of the mitzvah of tzitzit, of tchelet, and using it to find ourselves, using it to be real, using it to try to connect to, like we said before, that Torah and art are bringing something from beyond the world into this world. But now here we are in this world, and we need to remember that there's something beyond this world. We can't just get like closed in this world. Okay, I'm here. That's not the end of the story. No. So creativity, that's part of why people love art. You go to a museum and suddenly, oh, your heart and your mind are in new places. You're taking to your mind and heart open a bit. So if we do this with holiness, with holy material, to me, I think this is bringing the Geulah, because then a person is, you're connecting this world to the upper world to this world, and you're present. You're in this moment of Hashem creating the world is a moment of connection, which is like tzitzit, connection. So, did you want to say something?
No, yeah, you were going to say something.
I was going to say that Rav Steinsaltz gave a talk about this, that Hashem created the world, but Hashem is and created us to keep on finishing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that exactly. So one of my
Hashem gave us everything, tools for us to continue that creation that Hashem had started, and is expecting us to keep on doing this creation.
it's so
and develop it.
So that's
Because Mamash, if Hashem gave us the faculties, the brain, that everything that we have in our body is created to be able to keep on creating.
right. Yeah, it can be very literal sometimes.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, we see it also like with Brit Milah, like it's like a human being, male, is born into this world, but the completion of who he needs to be, you do it here. He's not born perfect. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu was, but everyone else. and that's an example, but it's over and over again. And my teacher, the maestro, my glass blowing maestro,
Yes.
he always says this. It's one of his when he's one of the top artists I've ever met. He's such a high level of being able to express, like beautiful, amazing level. And he says, as he's working and he's doing it, like, we came here to complete the workings of creation. When he makes one more thing, it's like one more beautiful thing created in this world, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Which is, like we were saying before, that is connected to bringing the Geulah. Like I'm doing what I'm here for, so the Geulah is coming closer, because that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing, right? So even and I want to say, just like a little, side note on creativity. Sometimes people take it like overly serious, because it brings up issues for people that they're uncomfortable with. Do creativity. Creativity could be anything. There's no grades here. There's no. It's, yes, sometimes things need to be perfect, and it's it needs to fit and all these types of things. But there's certain types of things where you have to be very specific. But that's not the type of creativity I'm talking about. I'm talking about freeing yourself to try to express yourself. And by trying to understand a little bit better your inner world, to be able to express it outwardly, then we're doing this work that we're talking about. That's the idea of this Techelet class. So yeah, so Shanizke, we should really be blessed to
About to say step one.
right. So tachlis, practically wise, like to be really tachlis, every person should have a space, like even if it's a pen and a notebook, It can be the most basic thing ever, whatever works for you. If you like to paint, so it's your paints and brushes and water that you could put a cup that you could put water in, and you know where there's water nearby, and a table to put it on, and that you keep it there, that you have a place. So you establish a place where you go there and you can just start doing, and you keep it up, like you keep it. I myself, it's a challenge. Like I have my glass blowing table, so you can't put other things on a glass blowing table because it's glass. So in a way it's safe, but it gets messy, so I have to keep it usable. So when I step up, I don't have to spend a half an hour setting it up before I start. Maybe 3 minutes tops, like really. So that means, first of all, you establish it and you set it up. And second of all, after you do something, you clean it up. You put away some things and you set yourself up. So next time you didn't like run out of paper and there's nothing there for you to work with. No, if you ran out, so one of your things on your shopping list, top of the list, is that you replenish that and you have it ready, because when you have those moments where you want to write something down or draw or paint, you can just go do it. You don't have that block of, okay, now I need to get my materials and where and here and there and driving, and no way, it doesn't work. It's, you get maybe a fraction, if anything, and you get exhausted and it's frustrating. So that's the practical first step. And yeah, I just want to give us a bracha, all of us, including myself. I also want to be blessed to really just step deeper into really freeing and using our imagination and try this part of moving from thinking that I'm not loved to loved by Hashem is also connecting to believing that it's okay. It's okay to be creative. It's okay to allow myself to spend time on this. This is holy work. This is very, very good and holy work, even if there aren't,
It's kind of like an extension of prayer.
very
Yeah.
much.
I was,
I also think so. Yeah, so as an extension of prayer, I feel, there's like that flow state you can get into when you're doing something where you don't really even like realize time is passing, and which is a lot like prayer. You go, next thing you know, like, how did 45 minutes went by. I thought I was just gonna say a little something. Next thing you know. So that's a very holy space to be in. It's like a bit beyond time and space. And you can even kind of like, channel you're active in it. As much as a person might kind of like just bring down what Hashem is bringing through them. So it's your hands and it's your mind and it's your heart, and you're feeling the physical things in this world that you're moving around to make it happen. This is what we're here for. I mean, not just to do creative activities like we're talking about, but it's an example for everything that we need to do.
And also
all the
like,
mitzvahs.
because you're bringing the spiritual into the
Yeah, you're
material.
making your body actively connect upper and lower worlds.
Yeah, and also it's like bringing this material to elevate it, like from taking something that is material and doing an art or something can be like more holy.
Exactly. Beautiful. Lush.
You were saying something about the chelet that leads you to teshuvah. Like how do the teshuvah is linked here?
So Tchelet is the tzitzit, which Tchelet is like the central aspect of it. It's like a guard. It's a constant reminder of holiness. So a human being, and the men wear it specifically. So a human being going through the world can very easily get distracted. Say he's like going on his way to Shachrit, to daven, and he sees, I don't know, a beautiful car store or a beautiful woman or food. So many things could distract a person. So it says in the mitzvah of tzitzit, you're supposed to look at them. It reminds you, it brings you back. So the world is constantly trying to pull us away. You look at the tzitzit, literally it's a mitzvah of looking, and it brings you back. It reminds you of holiness, which all these things that we learned, which it's not just the blue string on my garment, but it's like the sea, which is like the sky, which is like kavod. Suddenly I'm like thinking about holy things, and it brings you.
It's also a challenge in doing art, not to get lost in just the sensory pleasure or the sensuality that can come up in texture and color. I mean, it's also a challenge within the process to stay connected
To keep reminding yourself, right?
and not just get, a loud color.
Yeah, I think that's part of why
It's a
it's a great way to work with both together, because then you're like, say you have a, I don't know, it's a holiday or a pasuk or something in mind that's like part of your project, that can keep pulling you back. I totally hear you, for sure. So, but we also realize, being human beings, there's only so much time in a day, there's only so much energy, you know what I mean? Like, so as we mature and realize, okay, like you're saying before, I want to streamline my time and my energy to actually be creative when I'm feeling it, like when I want to do it, or when I decide I'm going to do it, I want to actually spend that time doing it, because there's only so much time, like I'm not going to be here forever. So same idea, like if you choose your project wisely, that's part of why I wanted to do the little writing exercise, like what have you done and what do you really want to do? You know, what have I made and what do I want to do now? Like what's the next step for me? Because really one of my goals with this class, and it is for myself also, is to really inspire us to try new things. Because say I'm like an expert, I don't know, figure drawer or whatever, I can do something in a very expert level. So if I do that ad mea v'esrim for 120 years and I do it really well, okay, great, mazel tov, amazing, I was really good at that. But if I spend enough time trying other things, other creative things, like a musical instrument or clay, something that I don't know how to do. So this process of discovering it and trying and being, you know, fascinated by it and delighted by what happens, or frustrated, whatever, all of that whole process of doing something with newness regularly enough, like we said before, it keeps you flowing, it keeps you're alive, and you're not just like, yeah, I know how to do this, okay, I'll do it. Like creativity can turn into that really easily, actually. You learn a skill, you're like, yeah, okay, I'll knock out another beautiful painting of a tree, I can do that. So what's creative about that? But if you make yourself go and, you know, try to do some pottery work on the wheel, and you've done it once in your life, and that feeling of like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing, and it gets you to look and feel and notice, the next time you paint a tree, you're going to be more alive and real in it. It's all related. Yeah. So thank you so much. Hope to see you next week, all of us. Yes, for Elul, I'm coming in every week, Bezrat Hashem. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Thank you
Great to
so
see you.
much.
Thank you.
Do you have the source for the, like, where's the Chelet
In the Gemara, it's in Menachot. Let me see, I have it here. That you want to see, I'll tell you exactly where it is. I have it. Oh, it's on the next page. Mem Gimel. Menachot, Mem Nun Chet Vav Taf. Mem Gimel. Like Menachot, that's the Gemara itself. And then the page is Mem Gimel. Sure.
There have been many research projects done on the brain, the brain's activities, and that it's recommended for older people to keep being younger by I don't know, learning a new skill, learning a new language, and learning anything, learning how to chop your vegetables, whatever it is. That it creates creativity in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New little
Yeah.
synapses.
Neurons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah.
Okay, great to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're sleeping over?
This was
Amira?
great. I love
Thank
it.
you. Oh, I'm so happy to hear.
I
Great.
I couldn't stay here.
Good, good. So Bezrat Hashem, we'll see you next week. Thanks for getting up so early.
My pleasure. This was worth it.
Great, amazing.
And Shlomo
Okay,
is
so we'll
here.
see you next time, Bezrat Hashem.
Yeah, it was great.
So,
Okay. Okay, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
okay.